Yo, it's your boy Logos, and I just want to do a little follow-up to the last video I uploaded where we were talking about Epstein and his connection with powerful people in government, like bankers, politicians, and probably, music or movie stars. This time it's about Noam Chomsky, who I think is like a Soviet-era political leader or political activist or something like that of the sort. And I'm curious to see his connection with Jeffrey Epstein and also the CIA director. Let's get into it.
Go to the next story here, which is very important and just stunning, but also not stunning. It's just confirmation, I guess, of many things that we already knew. Let's go ahead and put it up there on the screen. The Wall Street Journal broke this massive story where they got access to Jeffrey Epstein's private calendar from 2014. And that calendar alone, just from 2014, shows some of the most extraordinary names in the United States. One of them being William Burns. You may not know who that is. It's the director of the CIA, who apparently, quote, had 3 meetings scheduled with Jeffrey Epstein in 2014. I guess, to be fair to Mr. Burns, he was only then the mere Deputy Secretary of State.
No.
Secretary of
no
the State Department with long-time ties to U.S. intelligence. He actually confirmed the meeting that was shown on the Epstein calendar, one that happened here in Washington, another that happened at his private residence in New York. His excuse was this: he had no idea who Jeffrey Epstein was. He knew that he was connected in the financial sector, and since that he was transitioning out of government, he thought it would be a good person to meet. Keep in mind, this is after Epstein has already been convicted in Florida and just a registered sex offender. So it takes no more than a Google search. This is where, do you really believe in the era of Google that a Deputy Secretary of State of the United States goes to New York City to a townhouse which is infamous for being a pedophile playground and does not Google the person that he is going to have dinner with?
He don't even have to Google him because he already knew that talking to him would help influence him in such a way. Like, even let's say that this guy, this CIA director, who is the current director, I think that's what he said, is telling the truth about he didn't know anything about Jeffrey Epstein. This still even shows that Jeffrey Epstein had enough influence in the financial sector where this guy could get out of government and get a nice, cushiony, well-paying, connected job with the connections he already knew previously from being in the CIA and intelligence sector. That in and of itself is alarming to me because Jeffrey Epstein had all these strings he could pull on people. And in my opinion, if you have connections or influence in the financial sector, shit, your ass might as well have connections in every damn sector because every sector needs money, especially government. We talking about campaigns, elections, such and so forth. So, nah, this is evil bullshit.
I've never gone to dinner with somebody who I didn't know. I recently went to a dinner party with people who I didn't know. And yeah, I was like, who are these people? You know, I don't even want to be in a sketchy situation. So that's what most normal people do. And I'm not the Deputy Secretary of State and then the current CIA director. Yeah. I was saying this in our editorial call. It almost just takes all the mystery out of it. Yeah. At this point, you're just like, yeah, all right. Like when you have the CIA director having multiple meetings with Jeffrey Epstein in a single year, by the way. This is the only 1 year that we know about. There could be many more meetings. These are the only ones that we're copping to because they happen to appear in his calendar. What else is left? I mean, this is it, people. Like, it's almost case closed. In terms of what he did and how many more people are ensnared, who knows? But this CIA director, it's done. Yeah. It's done.
I mean, his pattern, which comes out very much in this Wall Street Journal report, which, by the way, I am dying to know how they got this trove of documents, how they got their hands on it.
I suspect it came from the U.S. Virgin Islands because we're doing our second segment here in a bit. It almost certainly had to come from them because they have so much access to it.
Yeah, I mean, incredible information because this is all, we've heard all about like the Black Book and whatever. Like these were all meetings that were nowhere to be found in that. So this is new revelations about many people that, we had no idea were associated whatsoever with Jeffrey Epstein. And the picture that is painted by the Wall Street Journal here, which is one that we've seen painted before, is he uses his wealth and the connections that he's already established with wealthy and powerful people to bring more people in and get more meetings and sort of convince them, oh, I'm in the club and I can help you with whatever it is that you need help with. I'm there to, like, you know, fix your, oh, you're going to be transitioning to the private sector? No problem. I'm buddies with Bill Gates. I'll get you a gig with him. You could represent him. This is a specific example, by the way, I'm not making this up, that comes out in these documents with regard.
Wasn't Bill Gates on the flight list for the little island that Epstein had? If I'm wrong, let me know. I'm not sure. I think that's what it was from memory.
To Catherine Rumler, who was a White House counsel under President Obama and had apparently dozens of meetings with Epstein in the years after her White House service and before she became a top lawyer at Goldman Sachs Group in 2020. He also planned for her to join a 2015 trip to Paris and a 2017 visit to Epstein's private island in the Caribbean. Ooh. Some of the other details here that come out are the way that he would cultivate these relationships, like making sure that that he knew what kind of food they liked, and if they're vegetarian, make sure they had that on hand. He made sure, apparently Catherine liked avocado sushi rolls, so he'd make sure that those were ready for her. There were emails, internal emails that they got their hands on too, where he and others are discussing whether, because she's a woman, she might be uncomfortable with all of these young women being around. So do we need to make sure that they're not around when she's there, etc. So there was a very explicit project of Jeffrey Epstein to cultivate all of these relationships, find out who these people were, what their likes were, what their dislikes were, what they needed, and as Sagar was saying, I mean, it makes a lot of sense that someone who was involved with one or more intelligence agencies, that sort of information might be very valuable either to this country or potentially to another country like Israel that he has a lot of connections to.
This is my thing. You know, at a certain point, like, let's just all just stop the farce. It's just so obvious, like with the CIA director being met and Bill Gates and the nation's top bankers and JP Morgan and the level of special access. I mean, yeah, look, I get, by the way, also, if you're out there, if the U.S. Virgin Islands or anybody else access to these documents, would love to see them. I would publish them straight up. I wouldn't protect these people at all. Not a single one of them is worth protecting. Miss, Rumler, the freaking White House counsel, but also Noam Chomsky, whose book that we have here on the set, a longtime intellectual, comes out looking real bad in this one. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. Apparently had not only dinner with Jeffrey Epstein, but actually arranged a meeting with Ehud Barak, then the former prime minister of Israel, to discuss, quote, Israel's policies with regard to Palestinians. Mr. Barak, we'll show you in a bit, is long confirmed to have known Jeffrey Epstein. The thing, though, about Chomsky is that he said, quote, when asked about his relationship, he said, first,
come on, think about it. One of the most sickest pedos of all time is able to help influence meetings regarding the state of Israel and what's going on in the Middle East and Palestine. Places that we've been saying for decades and decades can't be fit, so have peace and such and so forth. And this grimy motherfucker has access to people that can, have discussions on that. Doesn't mean those people having discussions, well, he's a prime minister of Israel. So, I don't know, that's pretty damn powerful. Unless Netanyahu is above that, I don't think he is. I don't know, let me know down below. But either way, just the amount of influence that he has. And he's such a grimy, evil person. And that is confirmed. I don't know. Makes me sick.
First response is that it is none of your business or anyone's. Second is that I knew him and that we met occasionally, okay? And then in March of 2015, Epstein not only scheduled a gathering with Noam Chomsky and Harvard University, but he also scheduled a flight for him. Epstein actually planned to fly with them to have dinner with Woody Allen and his wife. Woody Allen, huh? Interesting. I didn't know why.
It's not the first time I've heard that name come up.
Why him and Epstein would be friends. And Chomsky says, quote, if there was a flight, which I doubt it would have been from Boston to New York. Only 30 minutes. I am unaware of the principle that requires that I inform you about an evening spent with a great artist. So,
the great artist?
Yeah, look.
He just called him a great artist.
He's done some great work in his life, Noam Chomsky. But
Nah,
doth
this is
protest a
next
bit too
level.
much. at age
It lost me
94.
on this one.
Yeah.
It lost me on this one. I mean, the first
Why are you getting
response
so
is
defensive?
that it's none of your business.
Yeah, what's going on here now?
I think it's really important
Yeah.
to reiterate, too, that these were all meetings that occurred after Epstein was a known pedophile and on the sex offender registry. So, anyone could claim innocence and I had no idea before there was an actual...
Yeah, that's right. Pre-2005. Even then, it doesn't take a genius.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there in another piece, so we're going to talk about, not Chomsky, Epstein's relationship with the banking sector. And these executives are joking about his tastes in young girls. So it really reveals, too, that they knew what was going on. Like, this wasn't a mystery. They were, oh, my gosh, I had no idea. Like, please, they knew. But he was very effective at maintaining all of the trappings of elite high society, and I'm in the club, and I'm one of you. And look, if I can meet with Bill Gates, like, who are you to not meet with me? Like, obviously it's fine. And I'm giving all this money strategically, or at least cultivating relationships with various high-profile universities as also another way of sort of reputation laundering and getting him into these elite circles and elite rooms. And, he was able to get to a whole lot of people.
Yeah, I'm really curious just in general about all of this because I've heard this excuse too many times. For example, one of them is the president of Bard College. He says that he went to the room because he presented himself as a billionaire and to thank him for unsolicited donations. And they all have the same story. They said, I found him odd and arrogant. What I finally came to believe is why we stopped contact with him is that he was simply stringing us along. Everybody's basically like, oh, I came to the conclusion that he was full of it. The only person who's count on that I do believe is Eric Weinstein, who's talked a lot about the dinner party or lunch party or whatever that he had with Epstein, and he came to believe he's like, this person is he's a fake. He has no idea what he's talking about because Eric was, know a lot about he worked in the finance sector for a long time, and he's like, I don't believe that you know anything about the purported way in which you make your money. The rest of them, though, I'm not so sure I'm willing to be so charitable here. They're like, yeah, that's why we stopped contact. Maybe you stopped contact, like you said, because you stopped cutting your check, or maybe you just remembered that this is a creepy pedophile that we're dealing with
some
here.
of these people, like Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Sorry to keep bringing him up, but
no, you should. I mean, he's one of the richest men in the world. He hung.
He's buying up farmland. He's getting involved with COVID and the vaccines, from my memory. Like, he's one of the most powerful people on the planet, and he's influencing governments. You damn right you bring up his name over and over again.
Out with this guy dozens of times.
And was getting marriage advice from him, apparently. He really claimed I barely knew him.
Yeah.
And we barely
didn't.
Liar.
And so also some of the representations about, I totally cut off contact because I saw this guy was a creep and I saw he was a fake and a fraud and whatever. Some of those representations have also not been at least the complete picture or wholly accurate as to what the actual relationships were.
Yeah, all of these people are liars. I mean, listen, if you met with him and you did so, and you really didn't know, then you need to come out and say so at this point, because now you're just going to continue to look like a fool. And, also look, CIA director, just let it sink in. The director of the CIA, the former ambassador to Russia, longtime connected intel official, 3 meetings in a single year. And we're just supposed to believe it's totally chill. The CIA director had no idea who he was having dinner with.
Right.
This is bullshit.
And the money has always been another piece, too.
Yeah.
Because we know he had this benefactor in Les Wexner, who was the head of the limited corporations, like Limited Express, all those companies. Okay, so we know he has that benefactor, but this is a man who presented himself as and lived as a billionaire. Private island, one of the most expensive residences in all of Manhattan, et cetera. And it doesn't add up because he didn't actually really work in finance. He didn't really have a lot of clients or anything like that to justify the lifestyle he is able to lead. So
he worked in secrets. He didn't work in money.
it's like, okay, also who was fully funding you? Where was this money really coming from? And, what interest did that person have, or that entity have, in the information that you were gathering? Because that's what's really clear here. He spent his entire life, until that life was no longer, intact, gathering information about the likes, dislikes, and really, in many instances, probably sexual proclivities of some of the world's most powerful, wealthy, well-connected individuals. I'll let you connect the dots as to what sort of entities might be interested in that type of information.
Right. You can also surmise that rich people don't have good taste. Avocado, California roll, when you got that much money, come on. Put it up there on the screen that I referenced, Ehud Barak, the former Israeli PM. I've talked about this a decent amount before, who not only met with Epstein many times, almost funded one of his businesses, had entanglements, literally used to stay at his house, but says he never attended any of the sex parties. Okay, all right,
Sure.
I'll leave that to you, allegedly.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is...
That's another good video from this channel, Breaking Points. I'll put the link to the video in the description down below. But in my opinion, I think Epstein is a creep. He's a convicted pedophile. And I think that many people, powerful people in government, entertainment, and finances was connected to him. And he was able to deal in secrets and, I don't know what, betrayal and knowledge. It's kind of interesting that the CIA director now had influence or conversation or meetings with Jeffrey Epstein. And he says he did it because he was getting out of government. So he got out of government and wanted to get into the private sector. So he met with Jeffrey Epstein. And then that eventually led him getting back into government and being part of the US government and one of the most powerful positions in the world. Like being the CIA director. If you're a CIA director, that means you have profound knowledge and profound skill involved with secrets, and you could only be connected with the most powerful people because that's what those secrets are the most powerful at. He don't know secret, well, they probably know secret about the average everyday person, but he isn't knowledgeable about that. He's knowledgeable about the secrets of prime ministers of Israel or Egypt or other places where there's conflict, where he can use that to his benefit and the benefit of his country or other countries. Who knows whether he's so far corrupt where he's just doing this for the United States or he's just doing this for another entity or just for self embetterment. Like, we don't know that. But the whole point is people like that should be in positions of power. And the fact that you still talked to, hung around with, and met up with Jeffrey Epstein, all these people, the CIA director, Noam Chomsky, Woody Allen, Bill Gates, the list go on and on and on. I'm not gonna name all the names that I've heard about because I ain't trying to get sued or whatever. But it's out there in the open, man. And the fact that people still try to deny it in government, it's just ridiculous. But you see that they laugh about it behind closed doors. The last video I uploaded was about people, JP Morgan, and emails laughing and cracking jokes and talking about Jeffrey Epstein and shit. But then at the same time claiming they don't know anything about him or this like account review or anything like that. It's just bullshit. But we all know it, but they still feed it to us because they feel untouchable. But I'm hoping that they get soon to be proved to not be untouchable. But who knows how deep this stuff goes. I've heard people say the part of the reason why this stuff isn't out in the open or people aren't being arrested is that if everybody knew how deep this shit went or the amount of people or the actual individuals who did this type of shit with them, it would collapse countries and economies and such and so forth. Which is, I don't know, possible in my opinion. I hope we're stronger than that and we can like put up proper good people in power that also are competent and not just, based on small things, but they actually are good at their job and knowledgeable. But we can also oversee them and make sure corruption like this doesn't repeat itself. But I don't know, I think that's just the best option. I'm not in favor of whipping up capitalism or whipping up the US government and having anarchism or Marxism or communism, because every form of government gonna have corruption. It's just about us, the people, reading it out and recognizing it. And the best way we could do that is being knowledgeable. That's all I gotta say. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's your boy Logos, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.